Well, hey guys, it is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. It's great to be with you again on another fine episode of Inspirations for Your Life. The master topic for the week, which we're ending today, is how to study smarter and not harder. By the way, we are on series 4, and this is show 7. And our granular topic for today is unlock your potential, study smarter, not harder, finishing strong, episode number 7. So, welcome everyone to another episode of Inspirations for Your Life. It's very powerful, these episodes, as you know. And here at Inspirations for Your Life, I believe in delivering nuggets that you guys can apply in your life immediately, especially the ones that we're doing this week, all about how college students and anyone else that wants to advance their life by learning a new topic can do so without many of the pitfalls that so many hit. Again, I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. I'm also a podcast host and a podcast coach, and I want to welcome you. If you haven't had a chance to go grab something from the kitchen, maybe it's something to drink, something to eat, go ahead and grab that and come on back and we'll get started. So today, we're wrapping up a very powerful week on how to study smarter and not harder with some of the most effective techniques that will not only improve your study habits, but also will help elevate your performance in all areas of life. As Emerald would say, we're going to kick it up a notch. I think we're going to kick it up more than just a notch, maybe like 10 notches. So whether you're juggling schoolwork or just trying to improve your approach to learning, these strategies will transform your productivity and focus. But the key is you have to want this. All right. So let's dive into each of these essential habits that will set you up for success, both academically and personally. Now, some of these are going to be a repeat, but I think it's important that we do go over some of these because let's face it, they always say that repeating things is great for memory. There's other ways we can learn too, but I do want to go over these. So one thing that we didn't talk about this week is checking in with your professor. Building a strong relationship with your professor can be one of the most powerful things you do for your learning. Professors are there to help, so don't hesitate to check in with them regularly. Whether it's clarifying a topic you're struggling with or getting feedback on your progress, taking the initiative to stay in touch shows your commitment and ensures you stay on track. They can offer insights and resources that will help you succeed beyond just the textbook or the electronic workbook or guide. So I know a lot of times we feel intimidated to reach the professor because maybe they might be younger than us, or they might have they do have a more knowledge in the field because of their experience and time. And a lot of times, sometimes they will put you off because they just don't a lot of times have the patience for everything because they think everything is so simple. Well, it wasn't simple when you learned it many years ago. And so I think you got to be a little bit patient being in the education field for a while. I have to tell you that's something that's really, really important. And I want to definitely get you guys to understand that. So do check in with your professor often. If you find that he or she is not receptive to you in the sense that they're not able to provide you extra help, well, then don't use them for extra help. But do check in with them. Let them know what your challenges are. Let them know, like, what you're doing, what you're not doing, what's happening. And I think this is a very important thing because a lot of times people don't get the fact that the professor is key. And so sometimes the professor, will go off on these tangents, and it's your job to keep learning, right? So whether that's the book or other resources or online, keep doing that. Your goal is to not only pass the class, but you want to leave owning the material. That's a big key. Leave owning the material. And if you leave owning the material, what you're going to find is that it's going to be something very powerful for you and for them and for the rest of your classmates. So definitely do that. Number 2, seek additional support. Yes, seek additional support options like supplemental instruction. They call it SI, private tutors. Now, no one achieves success alone. And that's especially true when it comes to learning. So many institutions offer supplemental instruction and private tutors that are often free or at low cost. And these resources can be game changers for you and your learning experience. And if you find yourself struggling with certain material, seek help often and early. And it's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. Making sure you explore all support options available to you is something that I feel a lot of people uh, don't want to do, but it's something that you need to do. It's really, really important to do that. So definitely make sure that you seek out help early. And if you do that, you will be very happy. Number three, eat chocolate. While it may seem like a simple indulgence, eating dark chocolate has been shown, and I gave you proof of this on the show after Monday, where I talked about ways to stay awake during class. The flavonoids in dark chocolate increase blood flow to the brain, making it easier for you to absorb information and stay sharp. So next time you're gearing up for a study session, or you're in a class and it's kind of putting you to sleep, treat yourself to a small piece of chocolate. It's not just a tasty treat; it's brain food. Number four, everyone. It might sound strange, but sitting on your hands can help break the cycle of stress or fidgeting when you're studying. If you tend to rush into answering questions or get anxious during test prep, this technique can help you pause, breathe, and think before reacting. By literally sitting on your hands for a moment, you're giving yourself the space to refocus and make thoughtful decisions, preventing impulsive mistakes. But it also does something else. You know what else it does? It causes a um, let's say, change in the blood flow. So it actually puts your hand to sleep. If you sit on your hands for, let's say, 15 to 30 minutes, they will go to sleep. All right. And I think that's an important thing to understand. Um, it is a way to make sure that you are conscious. Okay. It's a way to make sure that you are conscious. And so when you do this, you're noticing how the blood flow has changed. You're noticing so many different things. And so when you do this, not only when I put my hands under my butt, I actually, noticed it. And you can even move your hands a little bit and you could feel the tingling. After about 15 minutes, I started feeling it. After about 30 minutes, it was stronger. And after about 45 minutes of sitting on my hands, I said, I think it's time to take my hands out. And then it took another 10 or 15 minutes for them to wake back up. So that was all time that I was able to keep focusing on the class. Now, I noticed this distraction, but I was able to keep focusing on the class. And I think that is a very, very important thing. So it's a tool that you can put in your tool bag to choose to use, hopefully. Use active recall. Instead of mindlessly reading through notes, try active recall. This method involves quizzing yourself on the material you've learned, which has been proven to strengthen memory retention. After reviewing a topic, close your book and see how much you can remember. It forces your brain to retrieve information, which helps solidify it in your long term memory. The more you practice active recall, the more confident you'll become in your knowledge. Take strategic breaks. I've talked about things like I call it a lot of people call it the tomato method. It's actually the Pomodoro method, where it's a really key thing, and I do it every day. So studying for long stretches without a break can lead to burnout and decreased focus. Implementing strategic breaks is crucial for maintaining energy and productivity. So as I said, the best way that I like is the Pomodoro method, which involves studying for 20, 25 minutes, followed by a 5-minute break. You do that basically 3 times, and then after the fourth time, you take maybe a 30 or 45-minute break. These short bursts of focus work allow your brain to recharge and stay sharp, keeping you on top of your game throughout the day. Number 7, optimize your study environment. Your study environment plays a huge role in how effectively you can focus and retain information. So create a space that is going to be welcoming to that, whether that's finding a quiet room, decluttering your desk, or using noise canceling headphones. A good environment should promote concentration, calm, and creativity. So make sure your study area supports your goals to help you stay in the zone. All right. Definitely do that. You can get some simple things at home to help make your environment be more, let's say, conducive to welcoming study, but that's something that you definitely can do. Number 8, hydrate and snack smart. Your brain needs fuel to perform at its best, so make sure you're staying hydrated and eating the right snacks. Dehydration can lead to fatigue and poor concentration, so keep a water bottle nearby and sip regularly. For snacks, you can opt for brain boosting foods like nuts, fruits, and whole grains. Also, I talked about the chocolate. Avoid too much sugary snacks. They can lead to energy crashes, And the better your nutrition, the better you'll focus. So stay away from those, like the Red Bulls or the alive and 5-second drinks, the ones like the shots. Stay away from those. You don't want to have a crash. You want to keep the energy consistent. The best way I can explain this to you is if, let's say, you're planning for a power outage, and let's say that, the power needs to stay consistent the whole time. So generators can switch over. But what happens if you don't have that generator calibrated correctly is you'll actually cause a surge, and that could damage things from light bulbs to expensive electronic integrated circuits, computers, technology, etc. So that is really important to understand. Sleep, ladies and gentlemen, is not optional. Sleep is not optional. Let me say that again. Sleep is not optional. It's tempting to pull an all-nighter before a big test or project, but sleep is crucial for memory consolidation and overall brain function. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night, especially leading up to exams. Your brain uses sleep to process and store information you've learned during the day, so skipping sleep actually makes it harder for you to retain what you've studied. Number 10, the mindset. This is the most important thing that I can explain to you guys. If you have the mindset, you will go far. You will go exactly where you want to be. But it's not about the fact that you want to just go far. It's about the fact that you want to own the information. A lot of people I know take the class and they're like, well, what's going to be on the test? Now, we want to know what's on the test because we want to do well. But my whole goal is to own the material so that when I leave that class, when I leave after getting my degrees, the information is mine for life. And I think that's a really key point that many people miss. So also, I would encourage you to do things like going to YouTube, looking up the general topic. You might find there are different people that can explain something in different ways. I've talked about the fact that some people are auditory, some people are visual, some people are kinesthetic. Unfortunately, a lot of the professors of today's age don't get that. Also, when you learn, you want to make sure you're connected to something. So if I'm talking about something like, I don't know, I always use the example of baking. And maybe you've never baked before, but maybe you're in chemistry. So you know how you mix chemicals and you have to be very precise? Well, in baking, you have to be very precise. In cooking, you could be a little bit, let's say, more haphazard. But in baking, if you put too much of this or too much of that, you could get something flat. You could get something that tastes horrible. In cooking too, but the ingredients in baking are a lot more key to deciding what's going to be the right way. And so that's something I want to help all of you understand is that it's about what you choose, your ingredients. And your ingredients are the key, ladies and gentlemen. So when someone knows how to bake, let's say they know how to do chemistry, I can compare it to the way they would mix different chemicals, right? And how important it is to not mix too much or to mix it in a certain order. And so when you latch something to something people already know, guess what happens? You start to build a bridge. You start to create neural pathways in your mind. And learning then becomes fun. So when we make learning fun, we talked about study groups yesterday. We talked about how to build the right study group. I'm not going to go into all that again. But study groups are a way that you can get excited. It's a way that you can actually learn a lot of information because, one, you want to prepare for the group. Number two, you're actively engaging in the group. That's important. And again, you're finding it fun. So nobody said learning has to be boring. You, as a student, can take whatever devices that you have to make it more fun. Maybe you want to use some type of a speech service that translates your text into speech. And hearing different lecturers or different speakers can actually help it sink in more. Different dialects, different accents. Now, not too crazy on the accents, but things like this can really help to make a difference in your life. And I think that's an important piece that I want to share with everyone is that, your choices, what you choose to do in your learning is all up to you. But if you don't do that, then you could have a problem, right? You could have a problem, and that problem is the fact that you're blaming the instructor, you're blaming the school. Well, I get that we want to blame, but ultimately learning is our own responsibility. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not responsible for a certain percentage of it. Absolutely not. And you definitely should seek out resources. But I'm just telling you, don't let that be your only thing. All right. Don't let that be your only thing, because if that's your only thing, then you're not going to be able to excel. Another thing that's very interesting, I think you guys will appreciate this, is that if you take, like, for example, in my advanced computer class, we have several chapters. So we've gone through like the first, we're like almost through the second chapter. Each chapter has anywhere from 17 to 27 um, sections or modules in it. And so what I typically do is divide the chapter into three um, modules a day. Make sure I understand those modules. And if I do, then I move on to the next module. Now, even if something is really confusing, I might just want to go over, like the first time, I'm not going to expect to learn it the first time. I'm really just getting a presence, you know, of what it is. And then from that, I can go forward and say, okay, now I understand this. Now this clicks. Now this makes sense. And you'll be like, well, why does this suddenly make sense? It's because your long-term memory is actually figuring it out. It might not happen right away, and this could frustrate a lot of people. You might say, gee, I studied this yesterday and the day before, but then the third time I come back, it's like, oh, it all makes sense now. Like it clicks. So what does that? One, the breaks in the study time, the fact that your brain knows I'm only going to have to study for 20, 25 minutes, and then I get a break. And that's amazing. We talked about the eye techniques, right? Every 20 minutes, look at least 20 feet away, um, and focus on something for 20 seconds. 20, 20, 20 rule, right? Every 20 minutes, focus on something 20 feet away or more and focus on it for 20 seconds. Really easy thing. So if we want to make learning fun, we can. I just think so many people try to put excuses in why learning's not working. And if learning's not working for you, then you've got to change it up. What did Einstein say a long time ago? He said that doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, you know what that is? That is insanity. So why do we keep doing that? So this whole week, I really put this together because there's a lot of people, whether it be freshmen, sophomore, junior, seniors, and even grad students like myself, that want to study, but for whatever reason we get distracted or something happens. So you have to make sure that you're gonna study. So how do I do that? So I use something like Google Calendar, and my study time is scheduled. Now, sometimes I might need less time, which is okay, but I always right now have been using all the time. So if I, let's say, have finished what I was supposed to finish in that day, I might preview the next section, you know, and just take it very lightly. And I think when we can do things like this and we can pre-coat the wheel with grease so that when we go back to class before it's taught, even if we don't learn anything in class, it's still gonna bring it as a repetition to our mind that, oh, we talked about arrays. Oh, we talked about baking. Oh, we talked about macroeconomics or microeconomics. I'm just giving you different examples, right? So as we think about these different things, um, you as the student need to figure out what's going to work for you and test and try different things. As you test and try different things, guess what's going to happen? You're going to find out that some things are going to work and some things aren't. Now, some things will work for you and some things will work for others. So that's why it's an experiment. But Einstein said doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, ladies and gentlemen, that is insanity. So if you're not getting the right results, why are you doing the same thing over again and expecting different results? You're not insane, are you? Well, don't answer that. But why? Why aren't you changing? You have the ability to change. And when you have the ability to change, so much happens in your life. I mean, so much happens in your life. And I think if you can appreciate the fact that you have more power than you think, you have more power than you think. And so your belief creates your reality. If you are doing something right now, and let's say you're totally lost, something simple, if you're maybe working on a math problem, maybe it's taking a piece of paper, maybe it's writing it down, maybe it's just solving the first part of the equation, right? Nobody said you have to do the entire assignment in one sitting, right? On a test, you do. but you're learning. So you can choose how you want to dice it and section it. That's totally up to you. Breaks are important. Healthy snacks are important. Even like fruit, some fruits are really good to have. And so taking this initiative to want to make your studying better is going to make your studying better because if your mindset wants to do that, then you're going to be better at it. Now, you might say, gee, John, it's not working today. Okay. I'm working on making my studying more efficient so I can study smarter and not harder. And I am getting better every day. You are. You're getting better. You're learning what works and what doesn't work. So when you go to the library, for example, I love to study at the library. It's very quiet. Unfortunately, sometimes at our library, there's a lot of undergraduates that are talking about what they're doing this week and their dates, etc. So sometimes you have to move yourself, like to. That's why I like to always make sure I reserve a pod, which is like a room where you can go in and there's like a TV, or you can reserve a small conference room. And so you making sure that you're in the right environment is number one. Having the right food, scheduling study time, doing study groups, um, incorporating exercises into your plan. So maybe when you take that 5 minute break, maybe you're going to get up and do a stretch. Maybe you're going to do a few squats. Now, I caution you on the squats. I started doing squats a couple weeks ago, and uh, even when you get the right form, and I do about 45 squats now every 2 days. When I get up from the chair, I still feel it in the lower back, and also I do feel just to the side of the glutes. You can feel the quads there. You can feel them firing just right by the thigh muscles there. And so if you think, oh, it's so simple, I could just do 100, be careful because you're going to pay for it later on. It like sets in a day or two later, or even 6 to 8 hours later, and you're like, oh my gosh, like what happened? Like suddenly, and you'll be fine. It's just going to be a little sore. The more you do it, the less sore you get. So I just caution you, don't go at it like a maniac because you're going to be more than just a little sore. You're not even going to be able to walk. Again, it's mostly when you get up from a chair. Sometimes if you get up from a bed, it's the positioning and just walking, you're fine. But just that initial get up is a little bit sore to transfer the pressure from one part of your body to the other. And it's because you're using muscles that you're not used to normally using. What else can we do to improve study techniques? Well, we talked about a lot of them. Another good one is to go on ratemyprofessors.com. Before you sign up for a class, make sure you've reviewed the professor. Make sure that you pick somebody that has a good rating. I mean, that's one way to make sure that you're going to have a good connection. And you can't make your professor the only thing that's going to, let's say, predict whether you're going to do well or not, because that professor might not give office hours. Their idea of office hours might be 5 or 10 minutes, then having to start another class. So don't expect your professor to be the one that helps you. If they do, great. Go to your SI department earlier. Sometimes there's tutoring centers. Sometimes there's they call them disability resource centers if you need to sign up for that, depending if you have some type of a learning challenge. And all the times you'll have to provide documentation and stuff. Another thing you could do is you can record your lectures on like your iPhone or whatever. And you can, with a click of a button, transpose those into words and even replay the recording. Now, the thing that's interesting about this is that the more you do this, hopefully the more it'll help with your notes. Now, sometimes the notes will just be complete garbage. I've got this. Sometimes like, John, sorry, I can't make any sense out of what this lecture was about. It seemed very disorganized. And that's common, especially the higher you get up, like in the 400s, masters and above. So senior level, but mostly in the masters and PhD level. A lot of the professors don't want to teach. There's some that do, but they don't want to teach. They have to teach to keep their tenure. And they want to do research, and that's like part of the requirement to do that. So what else can you do? Another thing that you can do is you can, like I said, start early to build your study group. That's important. And put these things in place before you need them. I think that's a great thing to do. And if you do that, then when a challenge comes up, you've already got the support system in place. So anticipate you need it. There's no harm in studying more. You're generally going to study for a 4 credit course anywhere from 3 to 6 hours per credit, depending on the course. Now, I know that's a lot. The average of that is roughly around 4 hours of your private study time plus your group study time. So again, taking initiatives to learn something is not easy. But then again, that priceless value that you have of now owning the information is something no one can take away from you. So realize that what you put into your studies is what you're going to get out of them. If you're getting frustrated the first time, move on to another topic, come back to it, but don't stop studying. A lot of times there could be a topic or two that you don't understand, but you could go study something else and then come back to it and make notes. I also recommend, if it's an online book, taking like screenshots. And then when you go visit the SI or tutor, you can present that to them because they may not have access to that book, right? So the whole goal about learning is you are the one responsible for your learning. Your university, your school, your institution, or your trainers, they're responsible to a point. But you are the one that has to make sure you learn. Of course, they should be helping you, but it is your goal at the end of the day, your promise to yourself, to make sure that you learn the material. That's not always going to be easy. So you have to get creative in how you learn. Remember, your belief, ladies and gentlemen, creates your reality. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know who I am by now, let me allow myself to introduce myself. I'm John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. Please check out believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. And we'll kick off a brand new master topic tomorrow, Saturday. I hope you guys enjoy your Valentine's Day. And remember, don't study harder, study smarter.